birds that are useless for the table and not harmful to the farm should always be preserved. On March the 14th, 1903, with no fanfare or celebration, without even an agent of the press involved, I simply signed into existence the nation's first federal bird preservation on Pelican Island in Florida along the Indian River. This was, of course, in response to years of what they were calling feather wars between the plume hunters and the conservationists. For unfortunately, there had been high demand for ladies' fashion. There was a growing interest in decorating hats with large plumes of feathers. I dare say that many women who were wearing those hats did not realize the consequences of such decorations. Plumes such as these came from brooding mothers who were shot nesting on their eggs, leaving eggs to rot in the sun. Hundreds of birds were killed, and as the interest in them grew, feathers were practically worth their weight in gold. And as a result, hunters began to find the more secluded spots where birds would take refuge. Fortunately, there were those such as Frank Chapman. He was a colleague of mine, also a curator at the American Museum of Natural History, who was very familiar with the various bird refuges, the lands where they would hide and nest. He got word to me about the peril that these birds were facing from unscrupulous hunters. And not only pelicans, but spoonbills and egrets and hundreds of other species were facing. And Pelican Island was under attack from these unscrupulous hunters. I was so moved that I asked right then and there, is there any law that will prevent me from declaring Pelican Island as a federal bird reservation? And they determined that there was no difficulty because it was on federal property. Very well then, I said, I so declare it. And with that simplest of steps, I was able to start the protection of this island, bringing into effect the protection of Mr. Paul Krugel, who was, patrolling the island with only himself, a canoe, and a rifle. But it got better over time. But that was one simple step which began a network of refuges for wildlife and birds, so that these animals, this wildlife, would be protected. National parks for people to enjoy, but refuges for the animals to thrive, so that future generations of people might enjoy them as well, but from a distance, not on a hat.